Hi, I'm Don, and I'm an old school kind of guy. But who is Don? Some people have asked me questions. I have shared some of the information. I'll lay it all out for you. I'm not a private type of individual. Some people like me, some people don't. That's their problem either way. I am me, and I don't change for anyone. I'm the same guy on YouTube that I am in real life, that I was in my profession, and in all the rest of my life. So one of the questions people have asked me is, what do I do, or what did I do for a living? Yes, I am retired, a forced retirement, got laid off, but I also have health issues and some injuries, and so I'm retired without any money. No pay. That's all right. We do all right. So one question I like to ask, I've done some public speaking, and I'm often asked, what do you do? So let's do a multiple choice. Do you think I was A, used car salesman, B, a truck driver, C, United States Army, D, a white collar worker? Stay tuned, I'll come back to it. I live in Wyoming, I've said that before, but where am I from? People have asked that. Let's see if you can keep up with me. My wife and I have been married 42 years. We've moved 26 times. And sometimes it was within the same city or region. Sometimes it was 100 to 200 miles apart in the same state. So I'm not going to sit here and list every single place, but let's just go through the states. Bonus points if you catch the two duplicates. In order, I have lived in Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Carolina, New Jersey, New York, Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Minnesota, Florida, Colorado, and Wyoming. Which one was my favorite? All of them. I find every area's got their own advantages, and every area's got their own disadvantages. Let's see, so what did I do for a living? Well, I'm one of those that if you go back to years gone by, I actually ran a newspaper stand for 2 summers outside of a bank in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota. A newspaper stand, for those of you who don't know what they are, is a big box placed on a corner. And I say big box, it's like 6 foot by 3 foot. And in the old days, before internet, I was 8 years old my first summer on this. The man that ran it was blind, and he had to have hip surgery. My father worked in the bank, but you'd get newspapers from all over the world, and especially all over the country. And then he'd sell them to everyone coming through. That was my first job. I've also been a bagger in a grocery store and a stocker, and I worked in convenience stores, and I've been a security guard, and I was a carpenter's assistant one summer. Another summer I was an assistant to a team of cement layers that laid industrial kitchen cement floors, where they have to be continuous pour, mixed by hand in 5-gallon buckets and troweled by hand for high temperature floors. I've driven school bus for a private school I drove the special needs bus. Let's see, I delivered newspapers as a boy on a bicycle. I delivered newspapers as a college student in a car. I worked in a box making factory, a cardboard box making factory. Most of the time I was an assistant operator to the machine that could make up to 20,000 boxes an hour. Let's see, what else have I done? Yeah, I was in the U.S. Army for 5 years. That was back in the days when everyone spit on soldiers, when we were in the airports and the Army required us to travel in uniform to get our discounts and such. Let's see. My biggest career, I guess, I've done some other things I'm not thinking of, but my biggest career was not a used car salesman. No, I wasn't a career U.S. Army. I was never a truck driver, although I thought about it. Yes, I was a white-collar worker, a software engineer. I designed and wrote a portion of an IBM operating system, little piece. And I was part of a team that did that. I did some other cool stuff. I won't bore you with software engineering. Suffice it to say that I know less about the internal workings of a PC, and I don't know how to fix a PC, but I was really good at the ones and zeros on the giant computers. So yeah, smartphones still baffle me. I enjoyed my career. Regardless of everything else I've done and every place I've lived, I could mention my family. My wife has been married to me for 42 years, and she has been with me through everything. We had 2 children by birth. We currently live with the eldest of those 2. She and her husband own this house, and it's a marvelous place we live. And they take good care of us, although truthfully my disability is the highest income we have in the house. But they're working on changing that. They started their own business this year. My wife and I also adopted a sibling group of 3 children that were grade school age, early grade school, kindergarten, first, second, when we adopted them. They were special needs because they had been so badly abused that they were not able to deal with society and emotional issues. They were also extremely behind in education. We took in 2 of my wife's sisters, one for a brief period of time when she was early teens, and one for a year when she was early 20s. She had 2 preschoolers at the time. She came for a year. We've taken in 6 teenagers off the streets that we didn't have legal custody of. They were all runaways, and none of them stayed longer than a few months, but we just tried to help them get their lives back together. We've also taken in 6 adult men who had life issues. So it wouldn't surprise you to know that I'm also a counselor now. I specialize in marriage and family relationships, as well as significant others in marriage. These days I got to add the significant others, because not everything goes by the rules that I grew up with. I also do a lot of substance abuse counseling with ex-cons and families of those in prison or out of prison. And yes, I'm actually an ordained minister. I'm one of them. They're born again evangelical fanatics, and I don't hide that too much. If it comes out, it comes out. I have worked with homeless shelters, and the last 15 years or so I've specialized in working with the motorcycle clubs in the motorcycle world. Often when I say clubs, I mean the ones that cops don't like and they make a big deal out of. And they call them gangs, and they're not, but that's all right. We won't go into that. I have 2 other YouTube channels that are more preachy type, and that's the life I live. So now you know more about the old school fish guy than you ever needed to know. For those of you who are interested, you can ask me questions. Feel free to ask. I'm not very shy or bashful. My life, partly because of my ministry, partly because of the prying eyes of the government into our lives after the adoption and before it, I kind of lost all my reserve, if you will. So if you want to ask a question. I do exist on Facebook. And like I said, I've got 2 other YouTube channels. And these days, that's what I do for my ministry and my life, is I talk to people. They come to my house. I don't leave very often to do a wedding, a funeral, or maybe to preach at a church once in a while. But I don't leave the house very often because it hurts, and I suffer for several days afterwards. So I tend to stay here. So I use YouTube, I use Facebook, and I use email, and I use the marvelous world of the video of YouTube. Hey, whatever it is, you know, I always tell you to have fun, and I sincerely mean that. You know, you're in a hobby in the fish world. Have fun with it. But you know, that's kind of a good attitude to have with the rest of your life too. Life's too short to go through life working at a job that you hate every day. You need to find some way to have fun, even if it costs you money. Money is not everything. Take less money and have more fun. Take time out to have vacations or short trips. There were years where we couldn't do a vacation for a week or 2 weeks. There were years where we did a month at a time. You learn how to enjoy either one, but you got to find time to have fun. And as a change up today, I will finish with God bless. Bye.